Hey guys, welcome to TroyGramling.com. We're in a series called Tempted. We're talking about sexual sin and sexual satisfaction as the antidote to sexual sin. A fulfilling sex life will help you overcome the temptation of sexual sin. And we challenge people to send in their questions. I want to encourage you to do the same. It's great for all of us to kind of go on this journey together and see what the Bible has to say, because as adults, we tend not to talk about it. I mean, think about it. When's the last time you had an honest and honoring conversation about sex, sexual sin, sexual satisfaction? It just doesn't happen. And so, but we deal with it all the time, which is so sad. And where do you go for the answers? I mean, every magazine has got a little write-in section about sex, and they're answering questions. But what does the Bible say? What does the Creator that gave us the gift of sex and gave us the gift of relationships have to say about the gift that He gave us? Here's one of the questions that we have. I'm not a real sexual person, but my wife is. What are your thoughts on fixing that with prescribed medicines like Viagra? What would you say about that, Steph?
Yeah, just like we talked about this weekend, in the marriage relationship, the biggest way to overcome the sexual temptation is to have a fulfilling sex life. Mm-hmm. And so, I would say to this person, whatever they need to do, talk through that, work through that, figure out, the reason for that, so that they, so they don't have to struggle with that temptation.
Yeah, and I think you're doing the first thing right off the bat, and that is to say, look, there's a difference in our desires. My wife wants to be sexually intimate more than I do, and to ignore it is the worst thing you can do. And so I would encourage you a couple of things. One is I would find out, is it medical? Is there something going on because of some other medicine I'm taking? Is there something going on because a heart or health condition? Is there anything medical going on that I need to take some kind of medicine or supplement or any of those kind of things for? The other thing I would encourage you to do is to have a conversation and to talk about, one is I would talk about what the pleasure side of the sexual relationship, and I would also talk about, what people call foreplay or what people call erotica. What is it that brings arousal? And again, we just don't talk about it. We just ignore it. We think something's going to happen, everything's going to get fixed, and all the while, relationships get destroyed. So I think you want to see if there's anything medical going on, but then you want to sit down across from your spouse and you want to have an honest conversation about expectations. How often should we be having intimacy? You also want to talk about what brings arousal. You want to talk about, what brings pleasure. And along the way, I mean, it's a great journey of discovery. But man, I applaud your willingness to ask the question, because so many people don't. And, they end up in broken relationships because of sexual frustration. God has made us as sexual beings. And if those needs aren't met, it's like you said today, mm-hmm. there's going to be a problem along the way. So, hey, thanks for hanging out here at TroyGramling.com. Send us your questions. We'll do the best we can, diving into Scripture, seeing what God has to say about sexual sin and sexual satisfaction. The email address is there at the bottom of the screen. We'll see you here next time.